The story begins in a very dangerous Spanish prison where the inmates were subjected to great brutality, as if they weren't even human. But one day, the leader of the prisoners, Mala Madre, and his men started a rebellion against this system. In the midst of all this, a new guard named Olive arrived at the prison. His duty was actually supposed to start the next day, but in an attempt to impress his seniors, he showed up a day early. Little did he know that this first day would become a doorway to his death. The moment Mala Madre saw the keys in the guard's hands, a large part of the ceiling collapsed and hit Oliver directly on the head. Mala Madre had used a thin steel wire hidden in his mouth to silently unlock his handcuffs. He then provoked the guard, and as soon as the guard came near him, he used the handcuffs to strangle the guard. Another guard was with Oliver and immediately dragged him into an empty cell, cell 211, but by now, Oliver had lost consciousness. Meanwhile, the rebellion took a dangerous turn. The prisoners broke the locks, took control of the corridors, and fires blazed everywhere. The whole prison was plunged into terror. Oliver's colleague was debating whether or not to take him out in time, but the other guard with him said that if they ran away with him, they would both be caught, and these prisoners would beat them so badly they'd die. So they left Oliver there. Oliver was unconscious, but all around the prison, there were only sounds of screams, fighting, and vandalism. The prison director was watching everything on CCTV, but what could he do? He didn't understand. Now he was just trying to watch and understand what Mala Madre truly wanted. A little later, one of Mala Madre's men reached Oliver. He saw an unknown person lying in the prison, and without thinking, gave Oliver a hard slap, which brought Oliver back to consciousness, though he was still confused. The prisoner asked some questions, but receiving no answer, he locked the door and left. It didn't take long for Oliver to realize that riots had broken out, and he was stuck in a room amidst them. He immediately took off his shoelaces, put them in the toilet, and flushed them. Then he hid his belt under the mattress and also put his wallet in the toilet. This was all because new prisoners usually have these items taken away. He was about to take off his wedding ring when the cell gate opened again. This time, Mala Madre's man came to take him. Oliver was taken directly to Mala Madre. Oliver confidently pulled out a cigarette and offered the pack back. Then, in a calm manner, he said that he had just arrived at the prison today and that the injury on his head was caused by a guard's beating. Oliver showed no tension at all. Mala Madre initially had doubts because Oliver's face looked so innocent, as if he'd never harmed a fly. But then Oliver replied arrogantly, "Are you a fortune teller or something? That you can tell everything about my past and future just by looking at my face?" Hearing this, Mala Madre was silent for a few seconds. Oliver's arrogance won his trust, but to confirm, Mala Madre asked Oliver to take off his pants. Oliver was quite confused by this, but still obeyed Mala Madre. This very moment saved his life. Prisoners are not allowed to wear underwear in prison. Coincidentally, Oliver never liked wearing underpants anyway. After this, Mala Madre's suspicion ended. Now, all the prisoners started breaking the CCTV cameras in the prison. Oliver knew that if all the cameras were broken, he would lose all contact with the outside, so he shouted, "Stop!" Everyone turned towards him. Oliver said, "Leave one camera so we can convey our demands outside. If you don't want the prison staff to see, just cover it with a cloth." Mala Madre liked his idea. After this, Oliver went to cover the cameras himself to gain trust. He very slowly climbed up and placed the cloth in front of the camera so that his face was clearly visible in the camera. The people in the control room immediately understood that this guard was their man. Now, only the people in the control room and Oliver knew that he was actually a guard. Still, Mala Madre had a slight doubt. He took Oliver to the guard who had the keys. He was asked if this was the guard who had beaten him. Oliver and the other guard looked at each other and understood that both their lives were at stake, so they both denied knowing each other. But Mala Madre's men did not stop beating that guard. In the meantime, the prison director finally called for help from the Special Forces. A Special Forces team immediately arrived outside the prison and took their positions. The orders from above were simple. Only 2 guards are being held hostage. No demands of the prisoners will be met. Start the operation immediately and take back control of the prison. But at that moment, a shocking piece of news arrived. There were 3 very important political prisoners inside the jail whose transfer had not yet happened, and the media had also gotten news of the riots. The focus of the whole country was now on this prison. These 3 prisoners were very big leaders. If anything happened to them, riots would break out on a massive scale. But Mala Madre had already taken control of these 3. He also informed the prison management via CCTV. Now, with these 3 taken hostage, the prisoners' power increased greatly. All the prisoners were cheering happily. The prison director in the control room understood that this was now out of control. After this, a man was called to negotiate with the prisoners. Mala Madre's past record also came to light. 10 years ago, he had also led a rebellion in which they had killed a guard. Since then, he had been the boss of the prison. Mala Madre asked Oliver to help him write some demands. The demands were basic: improve the condition of the prison cells, grant the right to meet family once every 15 days, and provide proper hospital treatment to the prisoners, as doctors checked them from behind bars. Previously, a prisoner with a brain tumor was told he had no headache, that he was lying, and the poor man died from the pain. Oliver found nothing wrong with Mala Madre's demands. Oliver was impressed by Mala Madre's leadership. During the conversation, Oliver told Mala Madre that his wife was pregnant, his baby was about to be born, and he was stuck in prison. Mala Madre felt sad hearing this. Oliver concocted a false story that the man he killed was a drug dealer who had killed his younger brother, so he finally took revenge. Hearing this, Mala Madre felt even worse for him. Oliver was rapidly growing close to Mala Madre. By then, the negotiator had also reached the prison. Mala Madre asked Oliver to search him. Oliver cleverly searched him while simultaneously revealing the location of the 3 hostages. Later, he presented their demands to the negotiator. The negotiator said he would send their demands up and come back. As he was leaving, Mala Madre told him that all his brothers had been working hard since morning and were hungry. Bring some good food, okay? He also asked that Oliver be allowed to talk to his wife. The negotiator said, "Yes, I can arrange the call. That much is within my control, so I will take him and bring him back." Mala Madre showed trust in his word and agreed, but he strictly said that nothing should happen to Oliver. Mala Madre had started trusting Oliver a little too much in a short time. This was a golden opportunity for Oliver, but before the gate opened, a scream was heard from inside. Hearing the scream, Mala Madre grabbed the negotiator and told Oliver to go see what happened. Oliver ran to see. It turned out that a fight had broken out between 2 prisoners. One was hit on the head and became unconscious. The Special Forces commander in the control room saw this and understood that someone very important had died. After this, he ordered his team to attack immediately. Oliver immediately understood that if the Special Forces came in, there would be a bloodbath. He quickly brought the 3 hostages in front of the surveillance camera so the commander could see that everything was normal. As soon as the commander saw them on CCTV, he stopped the orders. Now the negotiation resumed. Oliver's intelligence and courage had saved everyone's lives. But Mala Madre couldn't accept that this guy, who just arrived today, was acting like a hero. But Oliver understood that he shouldn't act like a hero. He raised Mala Madre's hand in front of everyone and said that Sir himself had asked me to do all this. Now the prisoners started celebrating by lifting both of them on their shoulders. Mala Madre said, "You did a good job, but if you do anything without asking next time, I won't spare you." Now, somehow, the news spread in the newspaper that the 3 leaders had been killed and several people were injured. Meanwhile, Oliver's wife, Elena, was eating at a restaurant. On TV, she saw that the same prison where her husband worked was now on all the news channels. She became very scared and called Oliver, but his number was out of reach every time. After much effort, when she spoke to one of Oliver's colleagues, he only said that Oliver was on duty at another branch, and his phone was probably off because of work. But Elena understood that something was definitely wrong. She quickly got in her car and reached outside the prison. By then, many family members of the prisoners had also gathered there. Everyone just wanted to know if their family member was okay. Elena also entered the crowd and started asking questions about Oliver, but no one gave any particular answer. Inside the prison, Mala Madre was eating with his other companions. Oliver was also listening with great interest to Mala Madre's old stories. Then, another prisoner who had caused the earlier fight appeared. Mala Madre immediately went to him and taught him a lesson because he had almost ruined the whole plan and put everyone's lives in danger. In the meantime, Oliver saw an opportunity and secretly stole the walkie-talkie kept on Mala Madre's chair. He was very worried about his wife. He immediately contacted his colleague and told him to inform Elena that he was okay. His colleague reassured Oliver and said that they had spoken to Elena and that everything had been arranged. Just then, Mala Madre and his companions were watching the protest outside on the TV inside the prison. There was a commotion of relatives everywhere. The camera was showing their footage. Mala Madre decided that they would have to talk to the prison authorities again. But as soon as he started looking for the walkie-talkie, it wasn't on his chair. He and his men searched everywhere for the walkie-talkie, but it was nowhere to be found. Mala Madre was puzzled as to where it went, but then Oliver brought the walkie-talkie and said that he had kept it safe because if the walkie-talkie fell into the wrong hands, there could be trouble. His point was valid. That's why no one suspected anything. But Apache had seen everything from the balcony. He immediately went to his room, took out a hidden mobile phone from a small tin box, and contacted a guard he knew. It turned out that Apache was actually an informant who worked for the prison authorities. In this way, he immediately learned Oliver's true identity. Outside the prison, people were getting more and more angry. Some even started throwing stones at the guard office. Seeing this, the guard Utrella, who was already angry, lost control. He immediately formed a team that rushed at the people with batons. Everyone was being beaten indiscriminately. Right then, Oliver saw his wife on the TV screen in the crowd, with small, frightened eyes. He quickly asked Mala Madre for the walkie-talkie and angrily asked his prison colleague, "You said everything had been arranged, so what is my wife doing there?" It was then that the colleague realized that the media was covering everything live and that the prisoners could see their families on TV. The prison authorities immediately took action and cut the entire prison's TV signal. Meanwhile, the tension in the protest escalated. Elena felt pain in her stomach. Slowly, there was pushing and shoving in the crowd. In the middle of this, Elena was hit with a baton, and the one who hit her was Utrella. With one blow, poor Elena fell to the ground. The media cameras recorded everything. Inside the prison, the cutting of the TV signal further fueled the prisoners' anger. Mala Madre immediately picked up the walkie-talkie and demanded a list of the injured people from the management. When Oliver asked about his wife, the prison authorities lied and said everything was fine. Then Apache came to him. He threatened Oliver, saying that if he didn't follow his instructions, he would reveal his truth to everyone. But Oliver already knew everything about Apache. He was not scared. Instead, he threatened back. "Son, I just arrived at the jail today, and I am a guard. These people might tolerate my betrayal, but you, as a prisoner, have been betraying them for years." Apache was shocked to hear this. He hadn't expected Oliver to know everything. Outside, Utrella was suspended. The paperwork claimed he had injured someone in the crowd, but in reality, the prison authorities were protecting him. Inside the prison, Mala Madre and Oliver were sitting and discussing the next steps. Mala Madre said, "I will take all the responsibility upon myself. I'll tell the prisoners that you were only helping me out of compulsion. This will reduce your sentence." You'll be able to go to your wife and unborn child sooner." At that moment, the prison authorities sent the list of the injured people. Mala Madre opened the list. There were only 4 names of injured people. He immediately understood that the management was making a fool of them. He became furious and said that now they would have to do something big. He decided he would kill one of the 3 hostages. Oliver said that if they killed the hostages, the management would spare no one. They would immediately storm in and kill everyone. Then he gave a new idea. "We'll just cut off a piece of his ear. This will send a signal that we are serious." When Oliver suggested cutting off the ear, the responsibility was also given to him. Oliver finished the job quickly to minimize the pain. In a little while, the severed ear was sent to the prison management. Now, they had no choice. They had to give the real list. But as Oliver read the list, his heart broke. The name of his pregnant wife, Elena, was also on that list. During this time, Apache also gathered some information by contacting the outside world. The video clearly showed Utrella hitting Elena. Oliver watched that video over and over again. Each time his anger increased. On one hand, he was risking his life inside the prison to work for them. On the other hand, his wife was brutally beaten outside. His colleague also didn't tell him the truth. Fuming with anger, Oliver immediately demanded that Utrella be sent inside. With the lives of the hostages in danger, the management couldn't do anything. They sent Utrella inside alone. As soon as he came in, Mala Madre controlled him with a knife and took him away from the camera. Oliver asked him about Elena, but he said nothing. When Oliver showed him the video, he immediately turned his gaze away. Oliver's patience snapped. He started beating the guard. He had gone completely mad. Oliver picked up the walkie-talkie and demanded to talk to his wife. Finally, he learned the full truth. Oliver's wife and unborn child were both dead. Hearing this, Oliver completely broke down. He put his head on Mala Madre's shoulder and wept uncontrollably. Mala Madre immediately gave the order for everyone to beat this guard, Utrella. But then, in his rage, that guard revealed Oliver's reality to everyone. "Why are you all so worried? This bastard is a prison guard." All the prisoners were shocked, but Oliver now cared about nothing. For him, only one thing mattered: revenge. He killed Utrella in front of everyone. Having lost his wife and unborn child, his will to live was gone. He then quietly went to cell 211. He took out his hidden belt and contemplated doing something bad, but he couldn't even manage to kill himself. When his eyes opened, he read on the wall, "An old man died of a headache." The previous prisoner had written this. Oliver felt that the pain of that prisoner had now become his pain. He left his old identity there and became the real prisoner of cell 211. On the other side of the prison, some people were now starting to doubt Oliver. But Mala Madre inwardly knew that even if he was a guard before, now he had become one of them. Their destinies were intertwined. After the list arrived, the prisoners' anger grew even more. Seeing the condition of their family members, they lost control. Now, talking to the prison authorities alone wasn't enough. The government stepped in, and a high-level official was sent to talk to them. He said that most of the demands had been accepted. As he began to give details, Oliver dragged Utrella's dead body and placed it in front of everyone. Looking at the camera, he said, "I killed him." He also said that they would only accept their terms if the Prime Minister himself came on TV and said, "Yes, we have accepted all your conditions." Oliver was now completely aligned with the prisoners. Mala Madre also supported Oliver. Either fulfill the demands or come and collect the bodies. The negotiator had to report everything to the top. Mala Madre knew that the government would not agree so easily. That's why he told his men to shift the hostages to different locations and prepare for the final fight. Just then, the prison management played a very dirty trick. They told Mala Madre that Oliver was truly a guard, and if he killed Oliver, they would significantly reduce his sentence in return. When Malamadre saw Oliver's file, he was shaken for a moment, but he still proceeded with his plan. All the hostages were imprisoned in different places, and then he reached Oliver with his knife. But when he looked into Oliver's eyes, he saw a loyal, pain-filled man, so he couldn't bring himself to kill Oliver. He handed the knife to Oliver and said, "I will fight with you." Meanwhile, Apache told the management the true location of the hostages. The special forces planned an attack. Suddenly, the TV signal returned to the prison TV. The news was that all the old prison laws had been repealed. Oliver and Malamadre were surprised, their hearts filled with joy, but little did they know that this was just a trap. The prison authorities had done this so that the prisoners would calm down. Just as everyone started celebrating, Apache was doing something else. He killed the prisoners guarding the hostages and stood in front of them himself to protect them. Then, smoke bombs were thrown inside the prison. Oliver immediately understood the whole truth. He told Malamadre to kill all the hostages, or everything would be ruined. But as the two started to go up, someone attacked Oliver with a nail gun. Malamadre went to him, but the wound was so deep that nothing could be done. Apache screamed to everyone that both leaders were dead. Hearing this, all the prisoners dropped their weapons. Malamadre stood silently watching everything end before his eyes. He had just wiped his tears when Apache shot him from behind. Malamadre fell but tried to take revenge. By then, Apache had fired another shot and he fell to the ground. The special forces easily regained control of the prison. Oliver also died, groaning in pain. After everything was over, Oliver's colleague came to identify his body. Ashamed, he opened the door to cell 211. A ring was kept there. Oliver was an honest and good man, but society took everything from him, and in the end, he preferred to die as a prisoner rather than live as a guard.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.